Hello, my name is Matt Lewis, and I will be your Math 50C instructor this quarter. What we're going to do is I have a short video here to introduce you to me and some of the things that are specific to my class. And then as soon as this video is over, there's one other that you're going to watch that kind of takes you through how the class works, but it's toward a more general audience. So it's a video that I've recorded for all Math 50C classes to use. All right, but I wanted to start with introducing myself to you because I will be your instructor and give you a couple of things that are specific for my class. Where I'd like to start here is just with a land acknowledgement. So I would like to take this time to honor and acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered are the traditional homelands of the Yakama Nation. I also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge of the indigenous people with whom we share this land today. I would like to pay respect to the Yakama Nation, their elders, past, present, and emerging. I also want to acknowledge the important role the Yakama Nation continues to play within the Yakima Valley. Thank you. All right, the way I like to begin my classes. All right, so what I'm going to do here is share my screen with you in a moment and show you a few things about how to get logged on to WAMAP and all that good stuff. But what I'd like to start with here is just a general thing I want you to keep in mind throughout the presentations of how this class is going to work. You know, we're definitely in unprecedented times right now. And, you know, life is difficult for all of us in very different ways, right? Some of you, like me, may have children that you're essentially homeschooling right now. And you're trying to juggle that with work and going to school and things like that. So there are many obstacles that you might be running into right now. And what I want you to know is, especially as I'm talking about due dates and things like that, that if you ever have things come up in your life, I definitely want you to speak with me about it. So just know that I'm definitely willing to make exceptions when you know, life kind of throws us a curveball, because it seems to be throwing us a lot lately. So I just want you to be aware of that. And so if you're facing something that's getting in the way of your success in this class, don't just suffer in silence. Please reach out to me, and you'll see how the easiest ways to do that as you go through the presentations of how the class is actually going to work. All right, so let me share my screen here. In the email that I sent you, and also on the Canvas page, I gave you this website, you know, wamap.org. And if you go to that web address, you come to this, this page here. So for probably the vast majority of you, you've never used WAMAP before. And if that's the case, when you get to this website, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click Register as a New Student. And then, you know, you'll put in a username and a password for this site. I would suggest using your student ID as your username, since that's the same one you would use for the student portal. And then, you know, a password you'll remember. And you'll fill out all this other personal stuff. And then down here is where you'll actually add my class, okay? So what you're gonna type into the course ID is 25142. And for the enrollment key, you're going to type in Lewis. And then you click sign up, and then you're in. If you already have a WAMAP account, you can use that existing WAMAP account by just logging in. Now, if that's the case for you, then you won't necessarily see this 50C yet. So what you'll do is click enroll in a new course, and you'll type that same course ID 25142 into the course ID and enrollment key Lewis, and then you'll be able to get signed up for the class. All right, and then once you do, you click on that, and this is the class website. Now, most of what's on this web page, I am going to explain in the next video, okay? But what I want to do in this video is explain the things that I want you specifically to do as my class, as opposed to just a general student. So there's this thing up here that says first things to do. Okay, and so these are basic. You have to do these two things just right off the bat here. They're both pretty easy. And I'm going to come back to that because for these to make sense, I need to show you one other thing. So in this class, you know, you're going to be moving through and getting your lessons on video, and then you're going to be doing the work. But of course, you'll probably come up with questions that you need answered as you go through. So there's a couple ways to get help. One is through my office hours, and the other is through using MathCare for All, which is the Math Center, the virtual version of our Math Center. So when you take classes in person at YVC, there is an entire room that's dedicated to students getting help on their math, and there's an instructor there on duty at all times to answer questions. So basically we have that. It's just using Zoom, and it's a virtual Math Center essentially. So what I am going to do is during these hours, I am going to be in the Math Center, but I'm only going to be helping my students in there. So it's not like you're going to have to share with, you know, all the classes on campus. I'm going to have my own room in the Math Center essentially. And whenever you come in for help during my hours, what's going to happen is you'll log in, and there will be a greeter there who greets you and says, hey, what can I do for you? And you just tell them, I want to go see Mr. Lewis, and they'll put you in my room. So that's for when I'm there. If you are getting help from the Math Center and it's not one of these times that I'm there, then you can still get help. You just get it from a general tutor. So you would log in and just say, hey, I need some help on my math. Can I have can I see a tutor? And they'll get you hooked up with one of our tutors. So you don't have to do anything special. Even if you don't have Zoom, when you click on this link here, it'll just ask you to download Zoom. So you can do that, and then you'll get right in. So there's nothing real special you need to do to get in there. Please use this. It's going to be really valuable to you. All right, now up here under the first things to do, one of the things that I want to do is be able to actually meet you this week. So it's really tough having a class that's online. You just feel really disconnected from one another. And I want you to be able to feel comfortable not only accessing the Math Center, but then and accessing my particular room in the Math Center, but also just for us to have a quick conversation and just, so I can know something about you and kind of put a face to the name. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click on this link here, and it's going to take you to a Google Doc spreadsheet. And if you've never used Google Docs before, no big deal, because it's on the web, so it's nothing you need to have on your computer. And all I want you to do is find a time over the next week that you can pop into the Zoom office hour. And actually, excuse me, it's not the Zoom office hour, it's for lots of times, more times than just my office hour. But pop in and we can have just a quick conversation and an introduction. So like for example, if you are available on Tuesday at 12:15, then you're just gonna put your name right here. And there you go. And the nice thing is all of my classes are gonna be doing this, but it automatically updates every time someone types something in. So you'll see your classmates and students from other classes, you'll see their names pop up, so you'll know what time slots are available and what time slots aren't. So please do that first thing. The earlier you get on here, the better time you get. And if you really run into a tight spot and can't find any time that works, obviously just let me know, and we'll find an alternative time. So do that. And then when your time comes to meet with me, then you just go on down here and click on the link to Math Care for All. And that's all you got to do. The second thing I do need you to do is to click on this test taking agreement here. So I'm going to click on that. It's a Word document, so if you have any trouble with Word documents, getting them open, just let me know and I can get you, I'll try to get it in another version. But usually you're able to, open it with something. I'm sorry, my computer's taking a little more time than I'd like, but. And so what this document is you're going to be taking tests at home. You're not going to be taking them in class, right? So it's just a set of expectations for, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do on tests. Now, one really important thing in this class is that calculators are not allowed at any time. So you can't use a calculator or anything that has a calculator, like a phone or anything like that, right? So, so don't do that, and obviously, like looking in your book and things like that during an actual test is not something you can do. So once you've read through this and agreed to it, then you're going to put your name up here, and then down here, if you print it out and sign it, or if you have a way of signing electronically, great. If that's not something that you can do easily, it's okay just to type your name here. You could just type your name, and that's totally fine. So just do that and then send it back to me, either on WAMAP or to my email. The one thing I'll say is just please understand, don't use a calculator. Don't, you'll be tempted because you'll be at home by yourself, but do not do it because number one, it's wrong, right? Because it's against the rules, right? But also, I am grading your work, right? I'm really grading your written work. So, and I'm going to show you in the next video how it is that you attach work after you complete a test and things like that. And so, if you use a calculator for a problem, it'll be really obvious when I go to actually grade your work. So just stay away from that. Don't go there. And if you're having trouble with a particular type of calculation, then let's get together. Let's work on it. So I definitely want to help you out with that. All right, so those are the two things that I need you to do. So I'm going to end this video, and then you're going to watch the second video here that describes in general how the class works, and then I think you'll be ready to get off and running.